Despite what many people think and what the real estate industry would prefer, using the listing agent to buy a home isn't just a bad idea, it's a really awful one, at least if you want to buy as wisely and well as possible. You might think all agents are the same, or that using the listing agent is a smart play because he has an in with the seller. In this video, I'll explain why neither of those are true, and why using the listing agent to buy a home is such a bad idea, including one $68,000 reason. I'll also tell you what you should do instead, and why. Hi, and welcome to Optimal Real Estate. I'm Wilson Van Law, a real estate agent who specializes in selling homes for top dollar, optimizing the buying process, and demystifying the real estate industry. The channel is home to everything I've learned either the hard way or from experts in over 20 years of buying, renovating, and selling homes, and an agent focused on optimizing my clients' outcomes, not just on sales. This is the first video in a series on buying a home and what's called an optimal purchase. The series gives you everything you need to know about home buying in the real estate industry to buy as wisely and as well as possible. You can find the links to the other videos in the description. You might think all agents are the same, or that they don't provide much value at all, or that it's in fact smarter to use a listing agent because they're closer to the seller. But no matter what the industry tells you, all agents aren't the same, and using the wrong one when buying can cost you tremendously. The reason the industry wants you to use a listing agent when buying is simple and straightforward, because it doubles its income on the same sale. But the right agent looking out for your interests and your interests alone can transform your purchase. If you're anything like me, and I assume you are, when you buy a home, you don't just want to buy a home. You want to buy a home that fits into your life in the short and longer term. You want to spend as little as possible while still getting the home that you want. You want to make sure you don't buy a house that's going to cost you untold thousands because of things you hadn't thought about or been told about. You also want the entire process from start to finish to be as smooth as possible. If that's your goal as well, you don't need just any agent. You need an agent who's both able and willing to help you with everything I just mentioned. And that's never going to be the listing agent. The listing agent is never going to tell you you're overpaying, something that happens every single day, as much as 6 figures in my experience. The listing agent isn't going to know your needs, short or long term, and won't point out when a home isn't likely to meet those needs, even if there's much you love about it. A good agent working in your interests beyond a sale would do that. The truth is, a listing agent can't work in your interests. That's right, cannot work in your interests. Let that sink in as you think about buying something as important, valuable, and expensive to fix and upgrade as a home. At best, the listing agent can work in no one's interest, neither the seller nor the buyer. At worst, he works only in the interest of the seller. And since you can't sell a home for top dollar by not being completely loyal to your seller's bottom line, do you think an agent who's willing to not try and sell their client's home for as much money as possible is going to be worried about your interests, even if they legally could be? I'd give that a gentle hell no. And here's a $68,000 example of how using the wrong agent can affect you. An example where my buyers saved almost 16% on the purchase of their first home. As I'm recording this, some buyers of mine just went into contract on a $365,000 starter home they're purchasing with a VA loan, and I just saved them $68,000. Here's how. We first talked right before COVID closed the market in New York. Once it did, they held off on buying, and last month they decided to move forward. Like most people, they started online and they clicked on a link on a website and an agent reached out to them. Over time, they didn't find much value in the agent and didn't feel like she was working in their interests. But thinking all agents were basically the same, they kept working with her and eventually got an accepted offer on a home. But after the home inspection, they had a lot of questions their agent wasn't answering in ways that made them feel comfortable or safe. So they passed on the house as well as the agent. A few days later, remembering the conversations we'd had pre-COVID, they called me. We agreed to work together and saw 3 homes. They made an offer on one, but it was out of their price range, so we went to see the one they'd gotten the accepted offer on. After spending about an hour looking it over and talking about it, they decided they were comfortable moving forward with the purchase at the same number they'd offered before. But I told them I thought their offer was way too high. I'd done the analysis on the home's value, and I know homes and renovations so well I no longer use an inspector when I buy them for myself. After a few conversations with the listing agent, I put in an offer $78,000 less than their previous one. After some negotiating, we came to terms, and it was $68,000 lower than their accepted offer, $68,000 less than they were still willing to pay. That's a savings of almost 16%. That bit of advice cost me about $1,500 in commission, and that's okay. I don't work as a salesperson trying to get paid. I work as a true advisor helping optimize my clients' outcomes. Would a listing agent have done that? Short answer, another gentle hell hell no. To have the greatest success when buying, you need an agent who does more than what's required of him by the industry, which is just sell homes. You need someone who's working in your interests and your interests alone, someone who understands all of your needs and goals, both financially and how you want to live your life in the short and the long term. Someone who wants to help you find the best home that fits those needs at the best price and not just sell you a home, call it a win, say thanks, and move on. But an agent's expertise, loyalty, and focus on your bottom line and not just a sale, which is vital to your outcome, can't be taken for granted because they're not a given. They're not even required of agents when they work with you, something that costs buyers and sellers huge sums of money and unnecessary pain every single day. To make finding an agent easier, I prepared a guide with everything you need to know and look for when trying to find an agent to help you buy your home. Every question you need to ask and why it's important, you can find a link to the guide in the description. So that's the tip on why using a listing agent isn't such a great idea and what to do otherwise. If the video was helpful, please like it, and if it did help, please share it with anyone you think it might help as well. For more tips demystifying the real estate industry when buying or selling, subscribe to the channel and choose the notification option so you know when a new video has been released. If you're looking for help buying or selling a home on Long Island or in the city, you can find out how to reach me in the description. If you'd like to make sure you work with an agent who follows the steps of an optimal purchase or sale but live elsewhere, I'd be happy to help with that as well. See you in the next video.